Well, hello, here we are. This is James Higgins Open World, and this is the last episode of James Higgins World, the Strange Powers, episode 15. Well, 15 episodes, 15 weeks. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is the last episode, Ghosts of the Tower of London. Ghost Stories of the Tower of London. This episode is about. I thought we'd go out on a hike, because the Tower of London is world famous. So, there's many ghost stories at the Tower of London. It says here, I'll read you this bit. It says, there are many ghost stories associated with the Tower of London. Perhaps its most famous ghost is that of former Queen Anne Boleyn. Anne was arrested in 1536 for treason against her husband, King Henry VIII. She was taken to the Tower Green, where she was held prisoner until she was beheaded in a nearby courtyard. Well, we're going to hear some of the ghost stories of the Tower of London in this episode, this final episode. And then we'll be back in 6 months, or maybe January 2022. With a slightly higher, I'm going to try and higher the quality of the series. I've done 3 series now. James Higgins Mysterious Universe, 10 episodes. James Higgins World of Strange... James Higgins World of... One second. James Higgins Mysterious World and James Higgins World of Strange Powers, this one. The next series, I've got a name for it and I'm going to tell it you now. It'll be a 10-part series, 2 episodes a month. It's called Beyond the Known World. That's what the 4th series is called, Beyond the Known World. There'll be a lot of different things in that series. Be set out differently, be higher. So anyway, that's for the future. This is for now. So let's hear some of these stories in the Tower of London. 1 second. Right, well, let's get started.
The Princes of the Tower is another very well-known Tower of London haunted legends. When Edward V died in 1483, he left behind 2 young sons and heirs to the throne. His boys, who were aged just 12 and 9, were left in the care of Edward's brother, Richard. Both of the young boys were last seen in the White Tower, where they were staying, before mysteriously disappearing, leaving Richard to claim the throne.
Just 1 second. Wait 1 second.
For years many had speculated that Richard may have had the boys murdered and disposed of. This rumor later gained weight when the White Tower was being remodeled in 1674. During works on the castle, a sealed wooden box was discovered in a hidden chamber of the tower, which had been bricked up. This box contained the skeletons of 2 young children, believed to be that of the 2 princes. Since their disappearance, the boys have been rumored to haunt the White Tower. Many have claimed to hear them all throughout the building, and some have even seen them cowering in their nightclothes in the corner of rooms, clutching at each other in fear.
Wow, well, did he or didn't he? Who knows? We'll never know. Only God knows, doesn't he, if you believe in God. So let's get to the next story. Here we are.
One of the more brutal of the executions to have been carried out within the Tower of London is that of the Countess of Salisbury. Her fear and pain-filled final moments are thought to have left a paranormal stain on the Tower of London. She was arrested in 1541 and set to be executed, yet her death did not go to plan. As the executioner drew back his axe to swing at her head, she set off running, fleeing his fatal swing. She was however chased by her executioner, who continuously swung his axe at her, slowly but surely hacking her to death. It is told that each year on the anniversary of her execution, her death is replayed, with visitors claiming to hear her wails, screams, and cries of pain.
Wow, brutal, isn't it? Brutal. Unbelievable. Just 1 second, let's get to the next story.
Many other ghosts are said to share space within the Tower of London's walls. There are those of others who were executed, the apparition of a bear, former kings, soldiers, and guards. These stories are just some of the countless paranormal reports that have come out of the Tower of London during its lengthy existence. leading many to believe it to be one of the most haunted castles in England.
Wow, hey, let's get to some more stories of the Tower of London. Right, let's get to this one.
An unhappy haunt, the ghosts of Anne and her retinue in St. Peter's Chapel.
1 second and we'll get to it. 1 second.
As I mentioned above, Anne's decapitated body was originally buried beneath the floor of St. Peter's Chapel. In 1876, Queen Victoria ordered that the bodies in the chapel should be exhumed and buried more appropriately. A short while later, one of the captains of the guard was patrolling the tower at night and saw a strange flickering light in the chapel.
1 second. Wow. 1 second.
He climbed to one of the windows and pressed his face against the glass. He was amazed by what he saw. Inside the chapel, he saw a procession of lords, ladies, and knights in armor. At the center of the festivity was a small, delicately dressed woman. Later, he identified her as being Anne Boleyn. He remained at the window, transfixed by this strange and otherworldly scene. After a few minutes, the lights in the chapel faded, and the procession of ghosts disappeared into thin air.
Wow. Hey, wow. Second, this last bit of it.
The captain of the guard was left gazing through the window of a dark and empty old church.
Wow, hey, wow. Hey, I've been to Tower of London. Been seeing the Crown Jewels and everything. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful. Obviously, a terrible history, but it's still a beautiful building. 1 second. Alright, here's the next story.
The mysterious white woman in the castle keep. The White Tower is effectively the keep at the heart of the Tower of London. Here's a truly terrifying fact for you. Almost every castle keep in England seems to be haunted by one common ghost, a spectre of a woman, either dressed in white or black robes.
Wow. What? 1 second.
These white women or black women feature in countless tales. They haunt all manner of castles, from Warwick to Goodrich, Tamworth to Leeds. As you might expect, the White Woman of the Tower of London is spookier than most. Often, visitors only glimpse a figure in white in the corner of their eyes. Then, quite suddenly, they smell the terrible, pungent smell of an old, overpowering perfume.
Wow. Bloody hell, eh? Wow. Right, let's get to it.
Some visitors then describe the feeling of the world closing in around them, and chills run from their neck down their spine. In recent years, tourists to the tower have even reported the sensation that something is tapping them on the shoulder. When they turn around, there's nothing there, just a wisp of white which disappears into the periphery of their vision.
Wow, eh? Wow. Bloody hell. Right, here's the next story.
Oh Christ. It has seized me, a terrifying apparition. Here's a very strange story indeed. Edmund Lenthal Swift was the keeper of the crown jewels between 1814 and 1852. He lived inside the Tower of London with his family. He recorded a truly spooky experience. In his own words, it happened on a Saturday night in October, at about the witching hour. He was in the Jewel House, now the Martin Tower, the doleful prison of Anne Boleyn. The windows were closed, the curtains were pulled over, and the room was lighted by a couple of candles. His family were seated within.
Wow, just 1 second. Here we go.
Suddenly, something very odd happened. Let's hear it, in exactly his own words. My wife looked up and exclaimed, "Good God. What is that?" I looked up and saw a cylindrical figure, like a glass tube, seemingly about the thickness of my arm. It was hovering between the ceiling and the table. Its contents appeared to be a dense fluid, white and pale azure, like the gathering of a summer cloud, and incessantly rolling and mingling within the cylinder. This lasted about 2 minutes. Then, it began slowly to move before my sister-in-law, then, following the oblong shape of the table, before my son and myself, passing behind my wife, it paused for a moment over her right shoulder.
Wow, just 1 second. Just 1 second. Sorry about that trick before. Don't know what I was doing there. Just 1 second. Right. Right, here we go.
Instantly she crouched down, and with both hands covering her shoulder, she shrieked out, "Oh Christ! It has seized me." Even now, while writing, I feel the fresh horror of that moment.
Wow, unbelievable, eh? Unbelievable. Well, this next story is the last one, and that's it. This series of James Higgins' World of Strange Powers is over and done with. So, let's have the last story. Right, here we go, just 1 second.
A deathly vision of a devilish bear. Just days after that strange event, E.L. Swift wrote of something inexplicable which happened, again in the Martin Tower.
Right, just 1 second. Just 1 second.
To help give a bit of context to this story, we know that all types of exotic animals were imprisoned in the Tower of London during Tudor times. It was a bit like a modern zoo. Some of these animals still haunt the place. There are many stories describing the roars of long-lost lions, which echo around the tower at night. Some have also described the phantom shapes of horses, which gallop along the cobbles at night, their eyes a terrifying, blazing red. However, this animal from the underworld was something more ominous altogether.
Just 1 second. Right, just 1 second.
I'll again quote from E.L. Swift, writing in the 1800s. One of the sentries at the Martin Tower was alarmed by a figure like a huge bear, emerging from underneath the door. He thrust at it with his bayonet, which stuck in the door. He dropped in a fit, and was carried senseless to the guard room. Of all this, I avouch nothing more than that I saw the poor man in the guardhouse prostrated.
Wow, just 1 second. Right, just 1 second.
And that in 2 or 3 days the fatal result was that he died. This chilling tale has been told and retold over the years, and many now say that the bear was no less than the devil in ghostly disguise, pulling the hapless to the underworld with him.
Well, there you go. That's it. That's this episode of James Higgins' World of Strange Powers, episode 15. Over and done with. So I'd like to thank all of my viewers who watched this series. Thank you very much, and I much appreciate it. Please watch the other series as well. And thank you very much. And I'll be back with another paranormal series in 6 months or beginning of next year. So thank you very much. Bye.